Well, that was lovely. It wakened us up this morning, you know. But I mean, it's good to be up at this time in the morning, isn't it? Now, Eddie was saying earlier,
it's
maybe
to be able to get up.
Able to get up, indeed. That's increasing. What was that wee bit of music you played us?
That's a Scots from Scotland, and I'm not sure the name of it, but I learned it from listening to a man called Ali Bain, fiddle player from Scotland.
Lovely fiddle player.
Today we're talking about a lady who sang songs around Newry years ago, 50 years ago.
That's right.
Maggie Barry was her name.
Yeah, I'm sure you all remember her, the old lady in the Fair Isle Gansey that used to walk down the Mall past the bus shelters, which are no longer there, and head for the market and play her music, and the people had the buses timed to perfection, coming in and getting as much money as you possibly could, you know. She was I used to stare in awe and disbelief. It was something like surreal, you know. And I remember as a young lad, it made some impression on me, Ron.
Of course. Yeah. I dare say a fellow who wouldn't starve in Newry today if he could sing a song and present himself at the bus stop and have a hat there to collect a few bob.
It's true, and I suppose that if you think, Rowan, the only people that are sort of doing it at the moment are the Romanians, and that they play the accordion. You'll see them on Hill Street there, and I think they're great, you know, and they play a bit of music, and it sort of livens up the town.
Oh, it's nice, and it encourages people not to look down their nose at them just so readily. Yeah. I always remember the day I couldn't get over it. I remember there was a wedding party on the steps of the cathedral in Newry, and there was an old Romanian woman who reminded me in her demeanour of gentleness of my mother. Yeah. And my mother had gone by that stage. She had died. And the old Romanian woman had the temerity to be putting her hand out and begging of the wedding guests. Yes. Well, didn't the man in charge of the place come running out, and what he didn't give her, and chased her off the steps? And so I thought to myself, God be with the Christian love of cathedral-esque attitudes, and I felt to myself not quite the thing to be doing.
A lack of Christianity
was shown there somewhere, but it's nice that they're doing that now. So you have a little cameo here of Maggie Barry.
I have. We were invited to do a concert in Lawrencetown, and Maggie is buried in Lawrencetown. Her family lives there at the moment. All her grandchildren, I think some of her children are there. They're a wonderful credit to Maggie. They play beautiful music. They play out in the Culturan in South Armagh and Mullabon. They're beautiful musicians, and they asked us could we do a cameo on what we knew of Maggie Barry, and it was something which it was like a labour of love.
And you had to write it. You took the trouble to put it down. Yeah. You must remember Maggie Barry yourself if you can write a piece about her.
I can remember some instances like Malachy O'Neill used to run the dances in the town hall, and sometimes he would take people like Maggie Barry in at the interval, and Maggie would be there, and she would play at the interval while the dance band went off and had their tea. But also Maggie was crafty enough, like the Pecker done. She would have, before the concert, before the dance, she would have busked outside, collected a few coppers, went in and did her stint, and then came back and waited on the revellers coming out again and busked again. And
she was an entrepreneurial woman.
Great. She played in Carnegie Hall and Covent Gardens and the pantheon of folk music. She was held in extremely high esteem.
And her musical home was Newry.
It was, yeah. And
you have the story for us.
Right. Market day in Newry. The morning mist swirls along the Clanroy River, blotting out the grimness of a polluted waterway. Mass-going feet followed the sound of the early morning church bells to worship, whilst the spark of the hobnail boots on the Mal's granite sets beat a well-worn path to Banner Blair's Bodiga, the Hibernian club. Many of Newry's citizens came for solace to both locations. Some came for the liberation of their souls, whilst others sought the hair of the dog, so as to reignite a fire that had not been completely extinguished. And the Hibs was that sort of spot. Shops opened early as our brethren from South Down and South Armagh flood in for the early morning bargains and the incandescent delicacies of Newry Market. Reverend Mother Malachy and a young postulant from the local convent had been on safari, and having already sampled some of these exotic delights, were now returning to base with bulging bags of local produce. Rare est labore, labore est rare. To work is to pray is to work, whispered Malachy into the postulan's ear. As they proceeded gingerly up the mile, a gentle breeze changed the mist patterns on the river and disturbed the gangly hern from his early morning breakfast. Seagulls rose from the mist and chorused disapproval as the indigenous sounds of our native music percolated the frosty air. Maggie Barry, in jaunty scansy, tacky-coloured skirt, Aaron bonnet, was grinding out the foggy dew. As down the glen one Easter morn to a city fair rode I. Those armed lines of marching men in squadrons passed me by. No fife did hum, no battle drum did sound its loud tattoo, but the Angelus bells of the Liffey swell rang out through the foggy June. Maggie, this feisty old lady, known worldwide, and who travelled the length and breadth of Ireland, singing ballads in her own inimitable style. Ensconced in the shelters, dispensing music and song, as the buses deposited a flotilla of humanity, searching for bargains in Newry town. An array of coinage, mostly coppers, interspersed with the odd silver piece, adorned the banjo case of this wondrous old lady. Mother Malachy stirred in awe, released the purse strings, withdrew a half-crown piece and threw a large smile from the almost toothless Maggie, who slipped it into the pocket of her feral gansy. "Bless you, sister," said Maggie in the unmistakable dialect of the traveller. "May the road always rise with you and never again you, and may all your sons be priests." A faint smile flickered across Malachy's face as Maggie tightened her G-string and went into a beautiful rendition of Down by the Glenside. As down by the Glenside I met an old woman up amid yon meadows. I ne'er saw her coming. I listened a while to the song she was humming. Glory, oh, to the Balfinian men. 'Twas 50 long years since I saw the moon beaming on strong manly forms, on eyes with hope gleaming. I'll see them again till they all see my dreaming. Glory, oh, to the Balfinian men. I passed on my way, God be praised that I met her. Be lifelong or short, I shall never forget her. We may have brave men, but we'll never have better. Glory, oh, to the Balfinian men. Breathing in and closing her eyes, Malachy allowed the aura of this famous old balladeer to seep into her soul. She swore she could hear the sound of marching pikemen in the drifting mist. Here was a voice that was timeless, that travelled through the centuries and cradled the people through good times and bad. Opening her eyes, she expected to see the great Delia Murphy, but it was this toothless old lady in an unwashed gansy, caressing her banjo and placating the masses. Ireland in no short way owe an extreme debt of gratitude to the travelling people who nourished and cherished the music and kept the flame flickering when it all but extinguished. The Cashes, Purcells, Dorans, Keenans, Furies, McDonoughs, Barrys and Dohertys, in difficult conditions, fair weather and foul, at fairs, festivals and sporting occasions, carried on the torch. By entertaining and educating the people of Ireland, Maggie plied her trade between the bus shelter and the market, and would only go when the last bus had left for Forkhill. On a rare occasion, Margaret Neal or some other local impresario would hire her as an interval act during one of their Saturday night dances. Following in the tradition of the famous Pecker Dung, Maggie would busk before and after the event. I remember once being invited with Maggie to participate in a concert in the Millbrook Lodge Hotel in Ballynahinch. Maggie did the first half along with an extrovert female fiddle player dressed in a very old Irish dancing costume. This proved to be an exotic combination as banjo and fiddle struck up an instantaneous rapport. A brilliant night was had by all as the hotel ensured that Maggie's tonsils would not seize up with copious stocks of bottled Guinness. Maggie was in absolute stunning form, ably abetted by her unique fiddle player who could dance and play at the same time. A rapturous reception heralded at the interval as Maggie joined Crubeen for the crack and the sup of the devil's broth. Crubeen hit the stage running as they entertained the clientele with a lively set. 5 numbers in, they decided to play an old Ulster air called My Lagan Love, featuring the multi-talented Eddie Ruddy on whistle, the ladies' heartthrob Billy Fagan on harmonica, and a sympathetic accompaniment from the rest of the band. Maggie was seated halfway down the hall and still enjoying the hotel's hospitality, decided that the 2 boys needed a helping hand. As the lads hit the second verse, she jumped to her feet and in her own inimitable style started to sing the song. To the consternation of Ruddy, Fagan and the rest of the group, Maggie's unusual voice without amplification completely consumed the atmosphere and the group were peripheral. We accompanied her to the conclusion of the song and a standing ovation. Maggie raised her bottle of Guinness, gave a trademark toothy smile, sat down and enjoyed the rest of the night. We stood in awe of this dainty little woman, whose magnificent voice subjugated the prowess of our electrical equipment, whose magnetism and power overpowered us all. For years to come, Ruddy and Fagan were subject to scorn and abuse, as we reminded them of how they played second fiddle to Ireland's Queen of Folk. Mother Malachi leaned over, said a short prayer in Maggie's ear, thanked her for her colourful life, grabbed the postulant and produce, and made a beeline for the convent and the sanctuary of its confines. I'm a free-born man of travelling people, got no fixed abode, with nomads I am numbered. Country lanes and byways, they're always my ways. I've never fancied me lumber. Well, we knew the woods and the resting places, and the small birds sang when winter days were over. Then we'd pack our load and be on the road. Those were good old days for the rover. In the open ground we would stop and linger, what a week or two, for time must not your master. Winds of change are blowing, always are going. Those travelling days will soon be over.
Bravo, bravo. Bravissimo. Bravo. That was Maggie Barry, for goodness sake.
Barry.
You mentioned the convent that the nuns went back to would have been on High Street.
No, it was a Sister Malachy. It was up on Edward Street.
Edward Street. That was the Sisters of Mercy.
Mercy, yeah.
It's virtually gone now. Yeah. It's gone. Maggie Barry is virtually gone.
Yeah.
She's gone. Where does she rest?
In Lawrencetown.
She's buried in Lawrencetown.
Yeah.
Is it a
the whole family?
Is it a
lovely,
grave?
Beautiful grave, and the whole family settled there.
Yeah.
And they've grown up to become a very intricate part of the society and well-respected family in Lawrencetown.
Yeah. And they were of the travelling class.
Yeah.
Big enough thing for them to settle.
It is. It's not an easy thing for them to do, and as I said, their old ways, and it's very hard for them to sort of adjust. But the family have well settled, and I mean, they make a big contribution, and they're even at that concert, and I met them. I could realise the respect that the people of the village had
for them.
Yeah,
they're always different. You know, the travelling folk are different. Yeah. They're of Ireland, and in another way they're of another magical place, not of Ireland at all.
It's like a fox. If you can't tame him, you can't take him in. There's something about him that's beautiful, and it's. I know a man in Resterver that got a young cub that obviously had been left as an orphan.
Yes.
And he held on to him, and then he realised he was doing what was wrong. And he took him out one day, and he said he took him up into the woods in Resterver. This is true. And he left him there, and he walked away, and he had a great rapport with the fox.
Yeah.
So he went away and said, well, that's the best thing for him. 3 days later, he decided he was walking past the place where he left him. And now the fox was waiting for him.
Full of consternation and surprise, you know. Yeah. You mentioned Crabine there.
Yeah.
In it. Crabine.
But that was a great night, I believe it or not. Like, it was really funny. We had all our electrical gear on. And Maggie was down in the audience with her bottle of Guinness, and she decided we needed a bit. And Eddie and Billy had the harmonica, and Eddie was on the tin. And I mean, they were superb, just doing My Lagging Love. And Maggie, it was just one of Maggie's favourite songs, and she just got up.
She couldn't stop.
And she sang. And I mean, we just stood now because she just took over the whole thing. The people...
Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Crabine, are you still operational?
Still operating. Still doing the odd thing, yeah. Like last night we were down actually in the...
We need a rum to get up onto the stage there.
But last night we were down in the First and Lads. One of the people who were talking, this lad from Burn, he says he always remembers her at the carnival in Silver Bridge, doing the same thing, coming in at the interval.
And doing the collecting, entertaining in the interval.
Yeah. And he told the story about she was playing in the carnival, and this fella came up, he was bald, and he said to Maggie, he was taking a hand out of her, he says, what do you clean your teeth with? And she looked down and says, my man, I clean them with Brill cream. He had the hair in his head.
Oh, absolutely.
She had a tooth, you know.
She had a tooth, one or the other. Eddie, you've been musical as long as I can remember you. Musical man.
Well, that's a compliment coming from you, Rowan. Yes, thank you very much.
Come back a long time.
A long time, Rowan, yeah.
And the 70th was celebrated as...
Yes, big night. Great night in the house.
It was.
Yeah.
It was, I can vouch.
Started off, believe it or not, at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Paddy Welsh, his brother, Oscar. He's,
Oscar, the SMA father in Cork.
Come the whole way from,
well.
Come the whole way from Cork
to
say Mass.
My
in the
God.
house, 7 o'clock. And after that, there was a collection of family and a collection of musicians. There was Robbie and Loretta Dinsmore.
Yeah.
Ben Sands.
Goodness gracious.
Willie O'Hare.
Yeah.
Benny McKay.
Brian O'Callaghan.
Brian O'Callaghan was there.
He
Charlie
came from
McGill
Spain
was
to
there.
you. Yeah.
He came the whole way from Spain.
Goodness gracious. And Charlie was there.
And Charlie was there.
Does he still smoke the pipe?
No.
No, he's given it up.
Given up the pipe.
My wife doesn't allow him anymore. But we went on until about 3:30, 4:45 in the morning. Good night was had by all.
My goodness, yeah.
Celebration of life.
Celebration of life is right, and what a wonderful life it's been so far, because you were very involved in the building industry. You were. I remember you down with. Are you still at 70? You're like me. You're still doing the shifts.
Yeah, I'm closing. After this is over, I have to go to Dublin with my son to a meeting about building a dwelling for.
Wow.
Down there, so.
Isn't that pretty all right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think some folk are intended to die in the saddle. We'll keep going until we drop. I would include myself. I'd include you in there as well. Actually, if you could arrange it, Benny, we'd all go for a great final walk into the Mourns and never come back.
The only comment I would prefer the car seat rather than the saddle.
A wee story about the shop round the corner there, Savages.
Yes.
We were at a funeral. The late John McKay had died, and we were playing the music, and we played down the graveyard. John was a wonderful character, and we did some of the stuff that John would have done. And he came up to me one day in the shop. He says, "Benny," he says, "when I go, if you're still here, would you do for me what you did for John McKay?"
Wow.
And the strange thing about it as well too, we remember one time we actually did one for a man. He was an orange man and had died.
Yeah.
And he had heard us playing at Michael McNamee's daughter had died tragically from an asthmatic attack. And we invited, he wanted some nice music played at it, and we played some lovely old Irish airs.
Lovely.
And he asked that when he went, and he got his request, we played at his funeral.
Goodness gracious, that's
the old Irish airs.
Lovely, lovely indeed. Music has been at the heart of your existence, both of you, for as long as you care to remember. What is it about the music that allows it to soothe the savage breast?
It's great. It gives you a sort of and if you have a good session and you have musicians that are all in harmony with one another, and people start, and it's a lovely therapeutic feeling that you have when you're playing and things are really going well. And,
some say blood runs through your veins. I believe it's music.
Music runs through it, yeah. Well, you can see that in people. I have my oldest daughter, Anne-Marie. She's exceedingly musical, great violinist, and through her has come her son, the oldest son, Michael McCartan. He plays the flute and he plays the piano, and he now plays the organ in the Dominican. So it's given to some people to walk in the way of music, I think.
Yeah, but you don't have to be brilliant, Rowan, if you can play any instrument, as long as you can play it to your full potential.
Potential, yeah.
You get them just like golf in a way.
Yes.
You don't have to be brilliant to enjoy golf.
Yeah.
And to me, music is the same.
When did you start playing the accordion? What were the circumstances of it?
Circumstances was that whenever I come out of boarding school.
Wow. Where did you board?
In Violet Hill.
In Violet Hill?
In Violet Hill.
Hungry Hill.
The McCartans I'm talking about, they were Violet Hill as well. Yeah, they are Violet Hill, a lot of them.
My father used to run, he had a school of dancing, similar to Sheila Nolan's in Newry.
Yes.
They called it the McIntyre School, and he played numerous instruments. And I had been a pupil of Gus Turneyman's.
Oh, goodness gracious.
On the piano. And I took a notion for the accordion, and my father took out one of these hard purchase agreements, I think with Bale Accordion.
God be with the days.
Yeah. In London. And so how I learned, Rowan, was if you look at the bass here.
Yeah.
It's hard, you can't see it. You can see the right hand.
Yes.
So I used to stand in front of the mirror looking
to
for
see
the
that.
buttons to see where the finger was going. And
yeah, I'm going to check with Andrew. Is this sound okay, Andrew? We're getting him okay. That's fine. So that's why you work. The bass is on the left hand.
Correct. Yes.
And for all the world, it's a piano on the right hand.
That's correct.
The same kind of notation and same kind of movement. You can do it.
The only one that's like a drunk man and has a piano. One's horizontal, the other's vertical.
That's right.
Good way of putting it.
Absolutely. And your musicality began, Benny, when your love of the bodhrán is.
I always remember it from my mother. My mother was a lovely singer and just sang I know where she got all the songs from at times, and again, I suppose things that you remember. I remember being in the primary school and Johnny Walker and...
God, but you remember the Stuttering Lovers?
Yeah.
You remember he used to teach us that? The birds flew into the poor man's corn and swore they'd never be seen, my love. They swore they'd never be seen. Johnny Walker. And he died very young.
Yeah, Brother Bo sang, he had a wee choir at the time.
And what we sang with him, why gather the crowds on O'Connell Street, why hurry and rush them so. Isn't that amazing?
Brother Bo sang.
But
we learned from them, and I always remember, as I said, in the primary school, there was an opera on, a light opera, Newry Musical Society were running The Vagabond King. Now, I had only been at the primary school, and they sent X amount of tickets into the class. There was 2 tickets. Most of the boys weren't that interested, but I was interested in going, so I put my name down 4 or 5 times in the thing and put it into the hat. And my name came out. I was afraid of it coming out the second time.
You'd be caught.
Because if it had come out, I'd have got a... So I went down to see The Vagabond King. And I also remember Charlie Smith and Christy McGuigan were 2 comedians in it. Music just sort of...
But boys, we've been wrapped in the most magnificent magic carpet of performance and music and friendship and camaraderie all the days of our lives. You know.
We've got some wonderful friends out of the music, you know, and people, lasting friendships.
We buried one not so very long ago.
That's right, yeah. Paddy Clerkin.
Paddy Clerkin.
Some older ones. Used to be a man in Newry called Frank Sweeney, if you remember.
Frank, of course I remember Frank Sweeney.
Well, whenever I come to Newry, Rowan, I got a job with H&P Campbell, and I was looking to play some music on the Cultus. There was a Cultus branch.
That's right. Frank was Cultus.
Frank was Cultus, and I was sent into this chemist shop, and it turned out to be his wife. Told me that he was down the back. Follow the sound.
Follow the sound. That's what she told you.
Yeah, and I went down the back, and Frank was in one of the shades out the back playing the fiddle. So he told me to come to the Cultus on a Monday night, and at that time there was 2 piano players.
Thanks, Benny.
Sean O'Driscoll and Paddy Rafferty.
Yeah.
And Frank introduced me as, this is McIntyre, he's a piano player of sorts.
Of sorts.
So,
for goodness sake.
I was introduced to the Cultus in the area.
Little generosity on that occasion from Cultus, yes.
But I remember at that time going to a concert in a parochial hall, and the Cultus had 5 Kelly bands playing one after that many musicians at that time, and that really stunned me. And the other thing which I fell in love with, I used to go to the tennis club at a wee place in Water Street.
The tennis club?
Yeah, the table tennis club.
Oh, yeah. Is that where the Bosco is now, the club there on Water Street?
It would have been further on down. It would have been too far from Sparky Keenan's Forge.
Oh,
it's just up the road a wee bit.
Where in God's name was Sparky Keenan's Forge? What a lovely name for a blacksmith.
Sparky's Forge was at as I said, the back of that, just at the wee entry that you went down to go into the chapel to the back of the cathedral.
Yeah.
His forge was just on the other side of the road there. And I used to go in there, and the smells and the hammer, and the heat.
Because in those days that was Water Street.
Yeah.
And in those days we had there was a garage down there by. And across the street,
McCollum
had the garage, and he was a singer of great renown too.
And Jerry McCardle had an undertaking.
Jerry McCardle
had a shop, a grocer's shop.
Goodness, that was always associated with the Undertaker. The pub and the Undertaker.
Malone's pub was just further on up the sea cap, and he had a pub further on.
I do remember. It's amazing how you do remember. It comes back to you.
I always remember Sparky's Forge. You know the smell when they put the shoe onto the horses, you know, that burning smell.
The burning smell.
It was a...
goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. And then, of course, football and the Shamrocks became part and parcel. Your lovely, lovely father, he was a great man. He encouraged us all in football.
And then he started the Irish dancing fish, the Cannon Burke, and
that's right.
Years and years.
Do you remember Cannon Burke?
I do, just
in Newry.
Vaguely.
I remember him indeed. I remember indeed. Did Cannon Burke die in a car accident?
No, that was Father Wrestler.
Father Wrestler?
Yeah.
Did he die in a car accident?
No, not Father Wrestler. Father Boyd.
Father Boyd, indeed. Father Boyd died
out of the Sheep Bridge.
Out of the Sheep Bridge, that's right. But Burke was a biggish man, as
I
recall. Yeah. Those were the days of the Holy Family Confraternity in Newry. Did you ever go to it?
Well, you were sort of marshalled.
Yeah. You wouldn't have gone to that, Eddie. No, you were beyond that.
They had it in Ireland, but I escaped.
You escaped. But you know something, a funny kind of way. It wasn't such a bad thing, Eddie, because the Tuesday nights I enjoyed, because there was a great feeling that we're all going to the conference, and then we go to the Florentine afterwards.
That's right, have a nice cream and a bit of crack.
I often said, I remember saying to someone once that when the confraternity ended, that was the end of the Catholic Church, the beginning of the slide. It was gone. And then people started fulfilling the responsibilities of the Sunday on the Saturday night. They'd go to the Mass, and it kind of shook the thing to it. It does, of course, it does, of course.
There was a nice feeling of, if you got, I'm not saying that there were all of them, but there was maybe 600 men in the chapel on Tuesday night singing. And maybe 400 to 500 of them singing. It was amazing.
That was a huge thing. One of the things we sang was Saint Joseph dear, when life is dark, when waves of sin and sorrow rise, guide thou our frail and trembling bark safe to the port beyond the sky. You don't remember that?
I do.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And do you renounce the devil?
I do. I do.
Always works and pumps.
I do. But that's all gone now, because even the Church of England has removed the devil from their baptismal rite. They don't say the devil anymore. They say, we reject the forces of all evil. You know, there's no devil anymore. So the devil mustn't be such a bad fella. He should be all right to be trusted indeed. So what does the musical world hold for the pair of you now in the immediate future? What do you do? You're doing this the Maggie Barry thing, are you?
I've been sort of accumulating a sort of book of short stories, which I hope to sort of maybe release very shortly.
You should, surely.
We're hoping to sort of do a CD as well with Crewbean, and I'm going to do a CD with some of the stories and stuff.
Oh, you should, of course.
That is sort of very much in the very near future, hopefully.
Okay,
He's looking for sponsors.
Well, tell me about it. Tell sponsors, goodness gracious. Always, I have my book of Africa and India coming out. And it's an expensive business to publish.
It is,
But if you need to be a two-headed kind of odd person who's in Coronation Street in order to get your work published, no matter how grammatically wonderful and storytelling and narrative it is. They won't. They're not interested in any ordinary people. So invariably, you find you're publishing yourself through Amazon and stuff like that. But very, very good results are achievable. There's a chap I know, George Kingsnorth in Newry, and George has great skills in bookbinding, and he's a good head on him. He's a good lad. You should talk to him.
There's a lad there. I would go to Noel McAllister. He has he did a book for the last Newry Writers Group. And he's actually a nephew of mine as well.
Oh, wow.
But he's great, and he has some great ideas, and
he will be a son of the people that do the sewers and the skips.
Yes, of course.
That family. And Noel he's excellent and a great flair.
That's good.
Good
stuff.
And we did a couple of books with him, and the Newry Writers Group. And it's somebody that I could sort of go to, and the way you feel sort of happy, and you can sit down and maybe say, well, we'll change this, and you have where somebody, if you're maybe not sure of, you're sort of maybe hemming and hawing, and maybe you don't get the desired result.
I want to tell you, Benny, your hemming and hawing should be done in the loneliness of your garret down the Point Road. And when you go to him, you want to have it bang like that, Right. Listen, what about Spain? Are you back there at all? This man's an inveterate traveller. He loves it altogether.
I'm just back from actually Tenerife.
Yes.
Just before Christmas there. I had a lovely a wee place called Los Cristianos.
Heard of it, yes.
Had a wonderful holiday in what was a family-owned Spanish hotel.
Fantastic.
And it was great. It was great. They were very good.
And you would be delighting in the food there, and the nice wine. And
the food, the wine is nice, and the food is good too.
Life gets better as we grow older. We're spoiled, aren't we? Rightly. We deserve nothing less.
Well, as you know, in Africa, where the older people are treasured for their wisdom and what they've accumulated.
We've done so much harm to the concept of elderly togetherness. The extended family's finished. But you still would have it in Spain, I think.
You do, yeah. Very, very much so.
It's the old lady with the black cloak.
And also, I noticed too, they have sort of like folds in Spain. I noticed that a long time ago, and the older people that are maybe on their own are integrated in the community. Yeah. They're not sort of maybe out in a home that's away, isolated somewhere. Oh, yeah. They still feel part of the community, still feel self-sufficient, you know.
Well, we've done that philosophy to death, because we now take our old folk and we put them in specific locations, and they never get out of them near enough. Yeah.
Yes, they become institutionalised, which is not
absolutely.
a good thing.
And they still should be mixing with the younger. And
absolutely, the cross-generational element.
That's what they do in Spain. They've recognised that is so vitally important.
Eddie, will you play us out of the programme? You do a wee bit more for us. That would be nice. Let me try and make sure your microphone's okay. I'll see that it is there. Assist you in that regard. Will you excuse me? Do I help here? Let me do that for you. I can do this. Now, here we are. We've got you there. You're into place there. You get this wee bit looser here. That should do there.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to go for that, that should be okay. I think we got him here now. This is Eddie McIntyre. Your pleasure, sir. What's the origin of that, of the instrument?
I'm not sure, Owen, but I bought that instrument as a knockdown price. I went over to Scotland with Cathal McIntyre.
Yes.
And,
he's the Warren Point fellow.
He's a Warren Point
man. He's the bus man.
That's a brother. The funeral undertakers and that.
Yeah, he's the last to let you down.
Cathal has a Keely band.
Can we organise the mic for him out in front of him there? Benny, if you will, pull the mic out in front there. Take it out and sit in front of him. My mic, he's saying, I forgot my mic.
We went to Scotland to look at accordions. And like you can buy accordions on the internet, but you can't feel them. You can. So we went over, and the accordion that I liked, I purely simply couldn't afford, 10,400.
Oh, sweet God. Yeah.
So I come back, and I dealt with an Irishman in Drogheda called Tommy Leddy.
Tommy Leddy.
And Tommy had this accordion sitting on the shelf.
Is it?
Probably for about 18 months.
Yeah.
Couldn't sell it.
Couldn't?
So I bid him a bad price.
You bid him a bad price?
And he accepted.
And what would a bad price for an accordion be nowadays if a fellow wanted to buy one like that? What would it be?
For this one, Rowan?
That's that class of machine.
You're talking about €4,500.
Oh yeah, yeah. But it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
The reeds inside are handmade.
Handmade, yeah.
That's where
the pipers for a time. Benny, you might remember, they took to plastic reeds.
That's right, yeah.
But they never really caught on. I don't think. No. It's not something you'd see the Field Marshal Montgomery or the Thomas Davis using. Well, look. Thank you both for coming in. It's been great talking to you. I'm sorry about the confabulation of the microphone and all of that. But ours is the skill of the possible. We do what is possible and make it happen. Thank you all for being with us this morning. Benny, thank you. Eddie, thank you. You're most welcome. And travel safely and well to Dublin.
Thank you.
And we wish you well wherever you are in the world. And try and chill a little bit. Don't let the struggle of life get you down. And when you've done your best, remember what our friends across the Great River will tell you in northern Nigeria. When you've done your best, simply lay your head in your hand and leave the rest to the God you believe in. So go well, be happy, and have a good day, evening, afternoon, morning, wherever it is you are. Take care. Bye-bye.